So welcome back, guys. I was a little bit hesitant on making this video because it is an install video on something I previously have already installed on the channel. But I feel like it was really important that I shared this with you all and be completely transparent. Actually, I had bought a wireless switch panel a while back, a 6-panel from Amazon. I think, well, actually from eBay, but they also sold it on Amazon. And it was a Nova Rogue 6-panel wireless switch panel. It worked well for a little bit under a year. I think it was right about around 8 months, but it recently broke. So everything I had wired up to it just won't turn on, but it's actually the remote that's broke. The company actually is no longer, they don't exist. You can't order from them, can't order a replacement remote. So actually I had to order a whole switch panel to actually get a new remote. And actually I ordered from a company called Mick Tuning. They're also on Amazon, so I can't necessarily, I'm gonna put the link below. If you wanna order it, you can. It wasn't that pricey. I do like to test things that are kind of a little bit underpriced, I would say, that aren't that expensive. One of the downsides, I'm just going to be completely honest with you on that. Sometimes you pay more in the long run if you buy cheaper parts. I know Oxbeam also sells a wireless switch panel that's a little bit more expensive. They're a little bit more well tested, but they're also sold on Amazon. I know there's also a lot more pricey companies out there. I don't know exactly all the brands that offer a wireless switch panel. I would go a wired panel, and I probably, you know, if this one breaks, I'll probably do wired next, because I've already went through the firewall once when I was doing one of the installs here not long ago, and I think it was actually my Wolfbox Rearview camera. So anyways, if this one breaks, I'm going to actually just do a wired panel and go through the firewall again. And I actually have another install coming up that I actually have to go through the firewall anyway, so it's really not a big deal at this point. But I'm not going to do a full walkthrough. I'm going to uninstall this one. They actually, I think Badland Industries and some other companies make a way that you can actually mount this under the hood of your vehicle without actually using any type of 3M tape. But honestly, the 3M tape's held up really well. I know it actually blocks, and I'll show you. Which, I mean, if you watch the install video, you see where I have this one placed. It does block one of these things right here, which, I mean, you can lift it up still pretty easily. I'm actually gonna put the switch panel box still in the same place because it's just easy. I have all my wires already placed there, the length cut where I want them. So I'm just gonna remove this one, unplug it, basically put the other one in its place, and just see how it works. The other panel that came with this one looks a little bit nicer. It is an 8 gang panel, so I have 2 more switches, which will actually help out in the future for what plans I have for the Colorado. Having a couple more options available will be nice. So let's go ahead and start get this installed. I'll walk you through just bits and pieces of it, not the whole thing. If you want to watch the whole install of a wireless switch panel, I'll put the link to that video below. Again, let's just go ahead and jump right into this. So of course, when you're doing anything like this, you want to disconnect your battery, and it's a 10mm wrench you have to use. Open-ended works. So we'll go ahead and disconnect the battery first. Disconnected. The next thing I want to do, I have all these wires kind of wrapped up, and I didn't do it the best way in the beginning. I don't know if I'll go back and fix it right now. I have a kind of a rat's mess back here. But honestly, I'm going to go ahead and just take this box off and get the wires out of the way, the positive here and also the negative. But I guess, and then I'll put the other box in place because I want to make sure I disconnect these correctly to make sure that I hook them back up to the amps that they need to be to, the actual fuse that's correct on the new switch panel. I don't remember exactly which ones, and this is bad as well. I don't have it marked. I should have labeled it. That would have been helpful. But I don't remember which ones these go to. I'm sure if I sat here and thought about it for a minute, I could probably figure it out, and I may have to do that. But let's go ahead and just get this switch panel out of the way. I'll go ahead and disconnect the ACC from the fuse box, do that first, and then we'll move this box out of the way and put the new one in place, make sure it's mounted, get all the components ready, and then start disconnecting each one of these individually and hooking it up. This switch panel comes with a few more components or things you have to put together, really, I assume. It's actually a little bit nicer, as you can see. It's pretty nice. But let's go ahead and open it up right quick, because we have to connect our positive and negatives to this. And they actually did include your screwdriver. Let me see if you can focus in. So just a nice little screwdriver. They included actually some extra fuses on the back side of the cover. Okay, everything wired more or less. Now I just got to mount it with the 3M tape. There is an antenna. The antenna that came with I don't like. It says it's Bluetooth. I don't know if you can use the actual antenna that came with the other one and if it'll work. We're gonna try that first. I don't think the box will close. The other antenna, I think that I could probably mount underneath the hood and it'll still reach because it says it gets some odd amount of number of feet. So I think it can still go through metal. We're gonna try that with this big old antenna right here, which I'm sure gets a lot more distance. Absolutely, but I don't want to put that on the outside of the truck, and putting that underneath the truck was kind of, I didn't know exactly how to mount that under the truck. But the other one, the other wireless gang panel, switch panel that I actually replaced came with this smaller antenna. And if just as long as it works, and we're gonna give it a shot, it fits. Exact same connector. So it's much tinier, it'll fit underneath the cover, it's perfect. So we're gonna give that a shot, make sure it works. I think that should transmit through plastic. We're only gonna find out. It transmitted through metal before into the cab, so I think it'll be just fine. So it's the next day from the install of the MIG Tuning 8-gang panel, switch panel from underneath the hood, the actual box. I got everything wired up, got everything kind of tidied up as much as possible. Today I'm actually going to be installing or just putting in the Bluetooth controller inside the truck. I've already taken out the Navarogue controller. So this one shouldn't be too hard to install. It should just be actually linking it up and putting the stickers on it. I don't know which button's going to be what. We're going to see how it works. I've already got it charged up. I'm going to put it I'm going to try to actually place it over here this time on the A-pillar. I don't know if the 3M tape will put right here or work right here, but we're actually going to see if that works. We're going to see if it holds because it'll be actually a lot easier to control. I do worry the sun will actually, make the tape not hold, but we'll see. If not, we'll find another place for it. So let's kind of go ahead and link this up. Let's see if it works and go from there. Now, I will say that I do suggest some budget parts. If you're buying just accessories, that's completely okay. Now, for motor parts or engine parts, that might not be necessarily the best idea, and I would not recommend that. So if you're actually doing engine or performance parts, buy name brand parts. But honestly, over the course of actually building a vehicle, there's sometimes you like to change things out. And buying a budget part to try something out, that's probably the best idea, just so in case in the future you do want to try something different, you're not losing something if you change it. So right here I'm holding the Navarogue wireless gang panel or switch panel that I installed on the vehicle about 9 or 10 months ago. It's worked rather well, and I've actually hooked all my lights up to it. About a week or so ago it quit working. So I did actually here recently purchase a new item. It's a MIG Tuning 8-gang panel, switch panel. It's still wireless. I've mostly installed it. I might add some clips of me switching this out, but this one's broke. And actually just the actual remote broke, not necessarily the panel itself, not necessarily the part that goes underneath the hood or that you actually connect to your battery. So the actual just panel itself, it just quit working. It would charge and you actually had to keep it plugged in for it to actually switch anything on. So I was just going to reach out to Navarogue to buy a new panel or the new inside, the piece that you put inside the truck. I couldn't get a hold of them. It looked like the company had actually closed. So I would say that's probably one of those bad parts, or maybe a part you buy from Amazon or eBay that's not necessarily one that I could recommend anymore. And it might be worthwhile to actually buy a name brand part. But yes, I did actually buy another one from Amazon. I think MIG Tuning, from what I read up on, is a little bit more reliable, a more reputable company. So today we're gonna actually discuss some other parts I put on the vehicle that's more so accessories, that's more budget friendly. That I'm going to just try out over a course of time, see how they hold up, give you my thoughts on them. I'll give you about 5 that I find that I've actually purchased, that I've actually enjoyed so far, and we'll kind of go from there. But for this Navarogue, I'm going to have to get rid of it. It's one of those parts that's just not worthwhile, so we're going to toss it. And I'll show you the MIG Tuning part. We'll see how it handles over time. Hopefully it handles better than the Navarogue did. It actually has 2 more switches. And it'll actually help with the next upcoming install or next couple installs I'll be doing on the truck. A little bit more lighting. And actually at the very end of the video, I'll show you my next upcoming install that I know some of y'all had asked about. But anyways, let's get started on some of the parts that I think that are actually, pretty good overall in terms of budget, that we're just gonna see how it handles over time. So just as I mentioned, the switch panel being one of the most, I guess it's really one of the most important parts if you're building an off-roading vehicle. You might think it's really bad to kind of skimp on something that's really important, but again, if you're wanting to test out different products, sometimes it's better to start off cheap, especially with something that's not messing with the performance of your truck or your car, whatever it may be. Again, if you're buying budget and it's not an effective performance, the next thing I would recommend is probably some side steps. That's at least if you're building something off-roading or something that easy to get into the truck, especially if you're lifting it, some side steps, and these are actually they've proven to be actually pretty good, and these are actually the Tiger Auto. They are an Amazon part. If you watched my last video, you saw that I actually did scrape them. They've held up really well. I've actually had them basically since I bought the truck. I think they were around about $250. They weren't bad. They've held up really well. They haven't rusted. Just as anything that's cheaper metal or anything like that, you do want to keep them. You want to wash your vehicle. I think that there's been no scraping. Like other than the time I did scrape, the powder coat hasn't tore off of them. Nothing like that. So far I can't really say anything bad about them. So good side step. Rock rails too, or some rock sliders are really important. If that's if you prefer rock sliders, I know there's some good budget friendly ones out there. I don't know if Tiger Auto makes any, but I know there are some other budget friendly ones of those. So one of the next things we'll discuss is lighting. I've had these now on the truck again since basically I bought them. Have never had any issues. I'll turn them on for you. They're actually the Hot Glow. And I'll get you the model number because I don't remember it right off the top of my head. I'll put it in the description or in this video. But they're the Hot Glow LEDs. Hold on one second, they can turn on. There we go. So the Hot Glow LEDs, they're actually really good in the headlights. I've never had any issues with those. I'd say, gosh, now I've had the truck about a year, about close to 30,000 miles, and I'll do a 30,000 mile review the closer we get to that. But now again, they've held up really well. I think if you buy them yourself, they're about $50 or $60. They never overheated, never had any problems with them, drove them all winter, quite a bit of night driving, taking them off-roading, had them through water, no issues. No issues whatsoever. Actually the high beams now are the last fits, and I'll turn those on for you too. Those are relatively cheap. They've held up really well. Again, it's cheap parts, something you can replace really easy. They're really bright. And the switchback lights or the lights and the signals are also last fits, and they're actually relatively cheap as well. So lighting is another budget-friendly option that you can actually install in your vehicle or on your Trail Boss or a Colorado, whatever it may be. That is also something just with any vehicle that you purchase. That is something you can put on budget-friendly. One of the 5 mods that you can do that you don't have to really worry about it causing any performance problems. If the potential for performance problems is something you're really worried about, lighting, side steps, switch box or switch panel, that's some things you can do that you don't necessarily have to worry about it causing any issues long term. And again, it's just truck accessories. Now from my particular standpoint, something else that I've done budget friendly we'll cover next, and that'll be number 4. So the number 4 budget friendly thing that I've done personally is this actual Miles Runner inflatable top. Now, I think it was $900 and some, which sounds like a lot, but now for an inflatable camper topper, just a camper topper, for a hard shell, you'll pay around $2,000 or $3,000, and they're quite heavy. This one you can put on and off yourself, and it weighs 40 pounds. I took it to the camping trip last weekend, again, if you saw the video, and it's gas mileage, I really haven't taken much of a hit. I think I've lost maybe a mile per gallon, and maybe not any at all. It's worth it. I mean, it's something that you can actually have some extra increased headroom in your actual truck or bed of your truck. If you're not necessarily camping, if it's just something you actually want to haul more things and you want to keep it dry, if you're going on vacation, whatever it may be, it's something that's very useful. Yes, it is inflatable, but it weighs a lot less. It's a very hard shell, and I've kept it inflated now for about 2 weeks, and I haven't added any air to it. I had some tree branches hit it last weekend when I was off-roading. Hasn't caused any damage. Now, I know Flated is also a brand that's an inflatable topper, and there's maybe one other. Flated for the cab height, I think was around $1,600, $1,600. And honestly, yes, you can take it on and off a little bit easier because it actually has straps versus the system that this one uses. But honestly, I like this system a little bit better. It reminds me a lot of the Jeep, especially with the zippers and the way you actually tie it down or buckle it down. And it reminds me also of a tonneau cover. Whereas the Flated is more so straps. I'm not saying that that won't hold up. It probably will. I mean, it will hold on the highway. They've shown, a lot of people have used it and really raved about it, the Flated topper. But to me, I mean, it's gray and it just looks more so like a, I don't know, it looks like something that you couldn't use permanently. If you wanted to use this permanently, you could, but you could also take it off rather easily. Budget friendly, again, if something happened to it, yes, you'd be losing $900, but better than, you know, adding something you don't know if for sure you really want for, you know, $2,000 or $3,000. Camped in it last weekend, it added some extra space. It was very comfortable. I did use a Walmart tent. I didn't show a lot of that in the video, and I cut it up and made an extension to it because this is a 5-foot bed. So it's really hard to put any type of mattress and sleep in a 5-foot bed when you're 6 foot tall. But it worked. You know, I think I have a better idea of actually how to cut up the tent better next time and make it more usable. And that, you know, a Walmart, you know, tent that'll fit this truck is around $30. They sell awning systems, and I have a better idea for doing that with just a tarp and a couple poles. Again, you can go really budget friendly for overlanding and not spend a whole lot of money just with a little bit of ideas. And I'll show you some of those ideas along the way this year if you just follow along. There's ways to go budget friendly on a lot of different things, whether it be, you know, off-roading or just, you know, modding your truck, modding your car. Again, there's certain areas that you can go budget friendly and it's completely okay. A lot of people may bash you for it, but again, for just truck accessories or accessories in general, like lighting, like I said, switch panels, a topper, things that are kind of gonna come and go rather easy. If you just want to try it, give it a try. Interior accessories, which I don't have a lot on this truck, those are things that can be replaced very easily. It's worth giving it a try. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you can toss it. There's no reason to go really expensive if it's something that you don't know if you like. Now, if you like it and if it's something that you know that there's a more expensive part out there that you want to replace it with, for sure, go for it. Because there are more expensive parts that's going to last a lot longer and probably are better quality. But now with this topper, I will say it's good quality. It's worth the $900 so far. I can't say anything bad about it. So that's part number 4. So let's see what number 5 is. I did want to follow up with you all and let you all know that this does work. I got them labeled. Except for the 12 volt, I'll figure that out here shortly. So here's the fog lights. And remember, I use the Novolog antenna, or however you say that, in the MIG tuning box, and it works out perfectly, so I don't have to run that huge antenna outside the truck. Fog lights, okay, on, off, works much better than the other one. And the windshield lights, or well, we call them the ditch lights, but it didn't have one specifically labeled for ditch lights. So there's the top one. And then we have them at full power. It actually works. I'll show you both sides. So off, much more reliable. These are awesome, actually. I'm gonna actually have to say I recommend these over what, you know, the Novolog, what happened, goodness. But they are this is a much better system. I do think it's going to actually meet all the needs. So let's go ahead and actually mount this, see if the 3M tape they included actually will work on the A-pillar. If so, that'll be great. But honestly, this seems a lot more reliable than the other system. So let's go ahead and get this mounted. So we're going to see if it'll stay right there. I have my doubts, because if you come around here, the curve of the truck's A-pillar, you can't fully mount it against a flat surface there. So, but it does have 2 pretty substantial good mounting spots. My downside to this is Velcro. So I don't know, again, I don't know how long it's gonna, if it'll actually pull off. We'll have to give it a day to sit. I was actually wanting to just pull it off, and I should have done this before I actually mounted it, but I wanted to see what it looked like and make sure I had it where I wanted it. But is to actually let the Velcro sit, you know, before. But anyways, it is what it is. We'll see if it'll stick there and if I can actually pull it off, because you're gonna have to actually pull it off to charge it. It does take a USB-C. You can't really run from where, on this spot anyways, a USB-C to it to charge it there. I guess I could theoretically run a longer cord and charge it, but I'd rather be able to take it off this mounting spot from time to time, because again, this is a wireless switch panel, so you could actually be outside the truck and make use of it outside the truck. So anyways, that is the Mick Tuning wireless switch panel. We'll see how that handles or how that works. You know, I don't know exactly if it'll do well or how it's going to do. It's another one of those budget parts, kind of, but now it is better than the Nova Rogue. But honestly, it was a little bit cheaper. Now, is it going to compete with the Oxbeam or some of the other brands out there? I'm not sure. I'm going to put the link in the description below. It's up to you if you actually go out and purchase it. You know, again, if you purchase the Nova Rogue and if you've had better luck than I did, that's great. Some people said that they had some battery swelling. Now, even with this one, once the battery goes, it's gone. So again, I'll probably get a wired switch panel if this one dies. Now, this company may be around a lot longer than Nova Rogue, which therefore I would be able to actually purchase another switch panel or buy a replacement. It might even have some warranty, I'm not sure. I think this company says they've been around quite a while. So I don't really look for any problems in a sense of if I need a new replacement. You know, I could probably get another replacement from this company. The other company, they're no longer, you know, after a year, maybe a little bit longer, they're gone. That's one of the downsides to some of your budget parts, is that some of the times the parts might be okay, but if something goes wrong, they might not be around any longer. So that's one of the downsides to buying anything that's cheaper. Sometimes, you know, a lot of people say, buy once, cry once, or something like that. You know, I don't know exactly the saying, but that is probably true. You know, again, you can buy cheaper parts and maybe pay more in the long run. But if you want to try something out, if there's something you like that, you know, you want to try, if you're not sure if it's something you want to keep long term, especially if it's not, again, if it's not something engine related or something that's really internal, if it's just an accessory, it's not really going to hurt anything. You know, this is a lighting accessory. It helps you run your lights. I would say it's probably one of the most important things that you should get if you're doing overlanding camping, because it makes wiring so much easier. So you can run all the lights you want, or at least 8. You have 8 switches that you can run different things, not just lights. But I think it's probably one of the, you know, essential components of, you know, having a truck or actually doing something like camping or overlanding, to have a good switch panel. And when I say good, I mean just a switch panel of your choosing. But anyways, so the last item I'm going to discuss, it's not necessarily budget friendly, but it is something you can actually use that's pretty helpful. It's between $250 to $300, depending on the options you get, is the Wolfbox G900 Tri-Pro. It's not necessarily permanent. There's several ways you could go about making it permanent or not so permanent. The way I have it set up, it's not so much. It's held on my straps to your original rearview mirror. They do have an option where you can actually make this rearview mirror your actual permanent rearview mirror. And actually it comes with a 12-volt outlet option, which is what I'm using right now. In the future, I do plan on actually hardwiring it in. I haven't got around to it yet. It comes with a kit where you can actually do that. It acts as a dash camera. It comes with a 256 gigabyte card. So you can actually use that card to make content like I have in the past on this channel. Or if you get in an accident, you can have proof because it actually has a timestamp on it. That's very helpful. With the camper top, it's been helpful in that sense, especially if I raise that camera up just a hair. It'll be a much more useful, and I plan on doing that in the future. So anyways, it's a very helpful tool. It's a little bit more pricey on the list of the things I've discussed, but it's just something that's not permanent. And if you don't like it, it's something you can actually easily take out. You know, the next thing I would like to discuss is an upcoming modification that you all have actually asked during some of the stereo install items I've done here in the past or on this channel. It's going to be on this 10-inch powered car subwoofer, or it's going to be a truck canary case. This was from Amazon. Again, it may not last. It's going to be worth a shot. We're going to give it a try. It's a 7-tor. It was, I think, $75 or $80. The reviews were good, so we'll see. We're going to actually install it kind of like how similar to other people have installed their subwoofers. We're going to put it underneath the seat, a rear seat of the truck. It's auto power on, so you don't actually have to have a remote wire. But it looks rather nice. It looks like it's going to fit underneath the rear of the seat, so we can actually adjust it if we need to. I was going to put it on the back side, as I've seen installed before from some people, but honestly, I think that it'd be hard to get back there if you wanted to you know, adjust the gain or anything like that, or the sound setting. But that will be our next install video. But our next video is going to be an off-road drive on a road that I have not driven yet. that I've been meaning to, and maybe some, like I said in one of the previous videos, some review of some trails actually in Southwest and Northeast Tennessee, Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee. So that'll be some of the videos that are to come. I hope y'all subscribe, and I appreciate y'all for watching. See you later.